Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. If everyone please rise. At this time, I'd like to call on Commissioner Watts for the invocation.
Yes, thank you, Judge. I've got some special guests today, and before I call on him to come up, I want to tell these guys what honor it is to have y'all here today. For y'all that don't know, these guys have helped us a long time, not just my precinct, but the rest of these commissioners working in various projects, and we've worked them like soldiers now on this Buffalo Creek deal, because Jerry, you know how much work's been out there. But I was thinking about, and if I cry, Barry Mahler will cry too, so Steve, bear with me. But I was thinking about, and I want y'all to know this, it's important for me to know that, you know, a lot of y'all come to this program through an addiction of some sort, drugs or alcohol, and that's either near or there, but nobody that I'm aware of in this deal was as big an addict as I was to food. And so, you know, I thought about that this weekend and think, I blow your doors off to be an addict. But the second part of that story was that Mark Gentry told me at church recently about something, and I was thinking about how, and Jerry and I and several of the guys, Steve, have had conversations in the field at different times. Jerry don't let them sit for very long without pushing the whip on them, Joe Bob too. And so nevertheless, we're having the conversation about how Jesus is involved with them in this program and very much agreed to that, but it's Satan that brings them to this. But you know, he deals with us in a lot of different ways and causes us tremendous amount of trouble. But those that are blessed, God shows up on the equation. And just like Justin, whose dad owns a ready mix plant in Ardmore, Oklahoma, and his mother's superintendent of the schools, God shows up and he goes through whatever trouble he has to be thinking, oh my gosh, this is bad, when in fact it's God showing up and straightening his path straight and narrow thanks to men like you, Steve. And that is, and Joe Bob, what a inspiration you are to guys that stand up and you turn this program just upside down on its heels. We're so thankful for what you do. But I just wanted you guys to know that y'all are far less addicts than me on food. My grandma trained me to be that way. And so you couldn't hold a candle to whatever your device was to what I am to food until I went and had surgery to deal with that. But nevertheless, thank y'all so much for being here. The fantastic job. Mike Davis, raise your hand. Equipment operator extraordinaire, guys. 13-year Marine Corps veteran. So Jerry served the Navy or Army?
Army, 13 and a half years.
Army. Richard. Richard's behind Neo there. You can't see him. Also military, long-standing military involvement. These guys are just terrific. So it's just incredible the amount of work that they've had to do and the legwork they've done to get our equipment into location, the flow lines they've cut out of our way, all of that stuff. Jerry, thank you for pushing these crews there. And guys, I just want to ask, who do you think makes the best breakfast burritos out there going?
You do.
I'm sorry to take so much time. Joe Bob, if you would come and lead us in prayer this morning.
Let's pray. Father, we come to you in prayer today, Lord. We want to thank you for all the many blessings you bestow upon us each and every day. Lord, we want special thanks today for Wichita County. Lord, thank you for Judge Woody Gossam. Thank you for Commissioners Harvey, Beecham, Mahler, and Watts for the work that they provide for these young men, changing their lives. I don't think they realize how big of an impact they have in these guys day in and day out by working these guys like they do, and we are so grateful for that. Lord, I want to ask a special blessing right now for Mr. Harvey and his bid for the U.S. Congress. Lord, lead him and bless him through that. Lord, I want to say a special prayer today for our military and our military families. Lord, please be with them today and guide them and give them the peace and comfort that they need. Lord, our first responders, Lord, bless them like you've been doing. So grateful here lately. Please continue to do so. Lord, I'm very grateful for Faith Mission, for our program Faith Enterprise, for our boss Steve Sparks. And Lord, I just ask you to bless this meeting. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Joe Bob, thank you so much. Thank you guys for coming. You bet. I appreciate it.
Joe Bob, thanks in that.
Appreciate it.
You know what, I want to ask you guys, hang on a second, just a second.
Yes, sir.
Now, was that as impressive as the last speech you heard him give with a butcher knife about that long carving ham?
We would plead the fifth right now.
We're not repeating that.
All right,
trust me, we're not repeating that.
Good there, by the way.
Yes, it was, yes, sir.
For the rest of you, that's a long story.
I should have gotten my Bowie knife out of the wall in there. All right, y'all will join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Take your seats, please. This time, I'd like to ask if there's anyone in the audience who wishes to make public comment at this time.
Excuse me?
Would you like to make any public comment, sir?
I don't know if this is the appropriate time or not. This is about the properties out there at Wrangler's Retreat.
Okay, would you state your name, just?
My name's Joe O'Brien.
Yes, sir.
And Joe, we're going to look at those bids here in just a little bit. We'll open those and talk about them, but I think the way it looks here, we only have two, so it's gonna work out perfect for you and her, your neighbor to the far end of the
On
room.
the north end of it? Okay.
Go ahead while you're up. Just express whatever you have on your mind.
Well, I don't know that, I didn't even know if I need to be here or not, but I just wanted to emphasize, I've had that one property for 10 years.
Yes, sir.
And I know it's a 25-year contract, and that's why I was kind of confused with the letter that I got the other day as far as that one goes. But, speaking of the Flowers property,
Yes, sir.
or 1663, I believe it is. Anyway, I just didn't know if I needed to be here or not.
Well, it'd be good for you to be here, because we may want to make you a deal. We may want to make you a deal before you leave, so hang tight if you've got the time to spare.
Yeah, I have an appointment at 12 o'clock.
Okay, great.
All right, thank you.
You heard how he is about food. We'll be out of here. All right. Okay. If I could ask court to take action on the consent agenda.
Judge?
I'm sorry.
I just got an email from the auditor's office, and they'd like to remove number 4.
Okay. Commissioner Watts, you had something?
Yes, Judge, on item, and those are supposed to go to Barry, let me find it here. It's about precinct 4. It's item 7, but there was one in front of item 7 that's an older one where we bought a cattle guard. From the same group, there's 2 of those sitting out there, and they're actually flow not through me, but Margaret, and she had talked to me about them, but I can't remember what the cattle guard was like. The cattle guard and some brush raking for us off of South Coleman, there where the cattle guard was at. But I don't see that invoice unless I'm missing it somewhere.
I didn't recall
I
seeing
didn't
it.
see that in there, Judge. I read it just a while ago.
Well, could we make an addition to that to be less than $1,000? I know the ticket's not that much, but I'm thinking it's between less than $700, but it would take, this is an old invoice for Texas Superior Service.
Okay.
And it would let me clean up both of them. I just think that I probably forgot to make sure that the game plan is for us to give them to Barry and let him sign off on them and give them back, and I've dropped the ball probably in between, but I know I've submitted both of those deals. We just may not got Barry to look over both of them, but the first one was where I bought the cattle guard that we're using out at Dr. Palmer's Marshall Loop Road.
Okay, so you're wanting to say to include an invoice?
Not to exceed an additional, say,
Okay, for one cattle guard or 2?
it's one cattle guard and some brush work, Judge. I had to get them to, when my backhoe was at the shop at ASCO, I had to get them to go out there and push brush out of our way at where we took the cattle guard out at, and that brush that came off South Coleman Road, we're piling it out there.
If it's less than 1,000, it wouldn't qualify
Oh, maybe that's what it
That's
is.
probably it.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's what it
Yeah.
is, Curtis. Okay,
Good job,
never
Curtis.
mind then.
Item 5, the payment to Wilbur McCabe for the hot water heaters. They asked this morning if we could expedite payments since they've got quite a bit tied up on there. And they went above and beyond to get us back in operational last week. So,
Okay, do we have a final invoice from them?
I'm getting it, they should be getting it to me today.
Okay, then, okay, motion to approve.
So do we need to add language to that to pay for final invoice?
Was it gonna exceed the 37,000?
That I don't know, Judge.
Well,
We could,
I mean, that was their estimate, and
Yeah.
so we could certainly, they can get paid up to that much by this,
all right,
okay?
I think that would be fine. If there's-
All right.
I did ask them to add some additional valves, so there's liable to be some additional costs. So we can shut,
Do you wanna take a guesstimate and change that up to 40,000 then?
we can do that,
Okay,
up to 40, and pay from invoice?
yeah. But we have to have an invoice.
Sure.
Okay, anything else anyone else have on there?
Item 8,
Yes, sir.
if someone wanted to speak on that and tell the people how good that is.
Okay. Laura, yeah, please.
Good morning. I'm Laura Grinsinger, and with me is James Bottling. He's our new executive director for Child Advocates. Y'all might not know I've taken a step back and I'm working part-time. My mama got really sick, and so I needed to take
Sorry.
care of my mama. But we're here today to both thank you for your support and to ask you to endorse our memorandum of understanding. What this does is, what we've done in the past is we've had one individually signed by each of our judges. And I think the county's attorney, Molly LaRue, has taken a look at it, and she's offered us some changes, which we've gladly adopted. And what this does for us is it helps to secure funding for CASA's program through our state agency, Texas CASA. It helps us in the realm of about $330,000. So we really would like y'all's support and endorsement of our working together.
Well, you absolutely have it. We are so blessed to have CASA here working with our kids. What you do is, it's incredible. So absolutely, you're gonna get our support. I believe that, we couldn't make it without you.
Thank you, sir. It's our privilege, it really is, and as you know, we only get to serve our volunteers, and our volunteers of our community are the ones who do such incredible work, and so proud to share that we have over 150 volunteers serving over 430 children annually. So, it's a community-wide blessing.
It is.
Okay, I've got on my list that we're gonna get that legislation put together.
You know, I'm still around. I'm working part-time, and Judge, it would be my pleasure to assist you in getting that legislation, because it would be a game changer for all of the CASA programs in the state of Texas. And so in fact, I hate to say I have a little more time, because it's different time between traveling to Houston and back, but that's important to me too, and I would love to assist you.
But you all in Patsy's house would benefit. Mr. Smythe has given us the figures. It would help greatly to do that. I'd like for us, I've talked to Jim Johnson and Representative Franksall. It's just a matter of getting it to them, showing how it could be done, the modification to the current law, which is not a great deal, but let's don't let that slip.
Can
Now,
we
now's the time.
go to Nortex to talk to all of the local judges that?
But you could certainly do that, but,
Would that be an avenue, or is there a better avenue then?
well, no, that's a good avenue, but let's get it done and then go talk to them, I think would be the better move. And when I say get it done, at least get the proposed legislation so they can see that and they can encourage. But I feel like given, and Mr. Gillespie, what we're talking about is the child protective fee that can be added on. Used to be the crossing guard fee on the licenses. This would then, but the current law right now says that the county collects that on license tags. Mr. Smythe, help me here if I didn't get this right, but the way it reads now, we have to turn that money over to each of the cities where the license was from a location inside the city. So it would dilute that because we don't have that many rural registrations. So if the law would be that the idea to change it would be the county collects the money unless the city comes forward and makes an overt action to get their share. And none of them wanted to do that, but they didn't want to enter into a interlocal agreement. They got squirreled at that about releasing that. So this way would take that decision off of them unless they decide to come back after it. So that's something, I just think it would be a tremendous, because, Tommy, what is it, 100 and, how many?
116,000 renewals a year, Judge.
Yes, sir. Pretty easy math at $1.50.
And that could be what, up to $1?
$1.50.
That
Yeah.
would be, you know, an amazing amount of support for CASA and Betsy's House and the Foster Care Association, the Children's Home, we all
Yeah.
are collaborators in this work.
116,000. It's easy. Yeah.
So Judge, not to, you know, put you on the spot, should I just start making appointments with you to, because I need some help knowing how to help and what I can do. So should that be my
Let
next
me,
step with
yeah,
you?
why don't you do that? Give me a little more, that's in the top 5 things on my to-do list.
Okay.
I've got out the old file, I've got out the legislation, just want to get some proposed change language to it, and then I think, yeah.
That's big, that's very big. And, you know, and the blessing is that, you know, we serve, you know, Montague and Archer and Clay, and that can enable those smaller communities to contribute.
Yeah.
You know, Montague supports us in lots of ways, not greatly financially, but they do. But Archer and Clay County, that would enable them to also support the children that come from their communities in a financial way as well.
You know, and if, I don't know whether they're charging the $10 on each divorce filed, that they can do that, and that money goes that way.
I have no idea. But we do know too. So I will schedule an appointment with you, and then we can, you know, just start moving that idea forward. It's, you know, been an idea that you've had, I know, as long as I've been with CASA for the past 5 years, and,
Gosh, it started when Barry Mahler was, not Barry Mahler, Barry Maka, close, was district attorney. No, he'd already left. He was going to help out in his role at Midwestern and that.
we have a good friend.
Yeah, excellent, yeah.
I bet Barry Maka would still help.
I bet he would too. And I bet
He
Texas
hadn't
CASA
so
would
far.
help. You know, I bet Texas CASA would find that this would be a valuable way to help. Because, you know, and I'm sure this is not unfamiliar to you, but in the whole scheme of things in Texas, lots of the funds go to the big cities. It has to, we get that. But a lot of our small rural programs just struggle. And so to have this avenue of support that would, you know, underwrite those rural services would be a big level of support.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Laura.
And the shame to note, Judge, a lot of people look at the next legislative session and think, oh, that's 2 years away. They'll be filing bills this
Yes,
fall.
yeah.
I mean, we're months away now from the wheels turning, so it's time to get rolling.
Okay. I'll get it back to you. Thank you.
But it is important. Okay, then I'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve consent agenda with noted changes.
Second.
Good discussion on number 17.
Oh,
Okay, number 17, motion to authorize county judge to sign a resolution for the Tactical Drone Homeland Security Grant Program application submissions. Commissioner Harvey?
Just real quick, Sheriff Duke, this drone, we'll be able to use this drone in our tactical. Can you explain that to us, how we're gonna benefit from that?
We'll attack the birds, kill them all with it.
What about the pigeons up underneath the overpass?
No, they won't, they're No, this, it's a tactical drone, they call it a tactical drone, but it's gonna be used for everything from manhunts, missing, persons, in some applications, in some certain SWAT locations, and raids and things of this nature. I think one of the things we're looking for is getting a FLIR, camera for it, so we can see at nighttime. This one, it's a costly piece of equipment, honestly.
Do you know how much the grant is for?
I don't remember that one. Chief chose to work on this project. He's very diligent on the grant. He's probably around, I hate to throw a number out there, I'm thinking this one maybe for 10,000.
So it'd be a really good asset for Wichita County.
Excellent asset.
Yes.
Especially in nighttime conditions. And you have armed suspects. We had do a SWAT operation this morning about 3:30 in the morning. We had a parole warrant. Had several felony warrants for his arrest. He was armed. And of course, he didn't want to come to the door. We ended up breaching the door, and he was not really surprised since we knocked on all the windows and told him to go to the front door sheriff's office. He asked, who? And he heard the sheriff's office, he knew what was coming, so fortunately, he wasn't stupid and trying to do anything with his firearm, but he just added more charges to it. Things happen.
They also have crime scene applications too that are really helpful for us at the court.
Yes.
You know, for example, if you had an intoxicated manslaughter on a county road, the drone could fly over and you get the overview of that, which is very helpful.
And also the crime scene as well. For one, we have a capital murder case, they still pending right now, Hammond Ranch Road. Most of us know what Hammond Ranch Road looks like, but you get it from the air, you can see the actual what and where in the exact spot. It just shows the jury more the scene of it, just a still photograph.
Yeah.
See exactly what's happening.
Well, you've sent your people to the advanced, or the training for being a drone operator, I think?
Yes, all three of them have their FAA.
Mhm, yeah.
David, who was the fellow that went out and shot the waterway for me? Who kind of heads up that?
That was probably Captain Randy Allen who did that one. So there's,
Because the pictures were incredibly
Yes.
good.
yes, there's been a lot of training at the jail annex warehouse and the LEC. Every time a chance to get the training, just continue operating.
But-
They'll have to remove it.
Could we, Dave, is it an imposition or a problem if we scheduled to inject in, like our software, we have a software program that installs those pictures and stuff on road jobs, but could we get an overview from time to time?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I wanted to bring that up so that the public would know that that's a great resource for us, and it is coming through to Wichita County by way of a grant.
Great, right?
Yeah. Does it float? I found out mine, well, I'll tell you why, because mine didn't float.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Just send that son of yours out
Any
there.
aircraft carrier?
It was too far out.
Oh.
The wind caught it and I couldn't get it back and it got out of, and of course, when they go out and they get out of range, they shut themselves down. That was a real bad idea on the pilot's part. But it wasn't,
You get the smaller type, anything under $150.
yeah.
The wind can catch you, end up 2 passengers over. The bigger ones are well maintained.
I seen one that they hit it with a baseball bat, knocked it out of the sky, and it just kept going.
Okay, let's move on.
Yep. Thank you,
Okay.
David, for doing that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Beecham, second by Commissioner Mahler to approve the consent agenda with the changes noted. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, we are ready for the general business items. First one is review and approve the bills for payment. We reviewed the bills on Friday.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any comments on the bills? Okay. All in favor of the motion by Commissioner Beecham, second by Commissioner Mahler, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Next is open and take action as necessary on lease bids. You have 2 of those, I believe, Commissioner Watts?
Yes, and Judge, there's 4 properties out there that lie between Joe's home and Joe Burton's old home on the very end of the cul-de-sac.
Yes.
And so there's 4
basically 5-acre tracts in between those two. And,
And just so people will understand, these are properties that we hold ownership to because we bought them after the flood and helped those people with reimbursement of their homes or
Yeah, but
partial
it's,
reimbursement of their homes.
well, it had to do with the special buyout program because they were over 51% damaged. We had 3 of those before. We added 2 more, the Martins down on the end of Wrangler's Retreat and the home out off of 367 off Miriam Lane. Picked up that one. And that's what we should have received bids on.
And we lease these out so that we don't have to maintain them, and it doesn't cost us anything, and it's a benefit to the neighbors there for just general land use. We're not
Yeah.
allowed to build anything on them, but
Yeah.
they use, plant a big old garden on it if they wanted to.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask, any of these properties have a structure on it, or a house?
none.
The one on that barn on, is that,
Gone, Judge, everything's gone.
Everything's gone.
Myron Lane's gone also.
The Myron, no, I'm sorry, I'm talking Wrangler's Retreat. I'm not 100% positive, David, on the Miriam Lane property, which used to be called Tiger Tail Lane. And so I'm not 100% sure, but I was under the impression because it's actually in the floodway, so.
If it's gonna be taken down by the county or however y'all will do it, if we could do some SWAT training in that building.
I'll double check that.
Doors and things, but there's some other ways we need to practice.
Okay.
I'm not sure it was included in that. We need to double check that part of it because it was actually, if it's still standing, then it was out of the flood way. Yeah.
The first one is Joe's bid, Judge. He's going to be the southern property there, and he's interested in the 2 tracts that are against him, that are the closest to him. And I think that's the ideal situation because no one can watch it any better than those property owners that are right there.
Okay. The O'Brien's bid 1631 and 1669 Wrangler's Retreat, excuse me, at $10 per year for each property.
And Joe, you're not opposed to a 25-year or a rounded number, let's say, you are willing to pay 5-year increments?
I'm willing to go ahead and just pay the whole 25 or 30 years.
Okay. So that's something that the court can consider because I think it'd be great to do it that way.
Just have it all up front, be done.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. We'd appreciate that because it costs more than it's worth to account for it.
Just for, as far as the Flowers property, which is 1663, I think it is, we've already paid that for 25 years. Actually, I think we paid about $400 instead of, but anyway.
So if we just build you the difference of what was owed, re-trigger them and build what you've already paid, apply to, we'll have to go through the auditor's office to do that, but.
That would be fine, or I'm willing to just go ahead and just do the 20.
I think I'd leave well enough alone if that's fine with you.
Okay.
Yeah, and just, if I could just start the contract over again, because I already got another 15 years on the Flowers.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll
Just start over with
Sure.
another 25-year contract.
Absolutely.
With both of the properties on there, and then I'll pay the difference.
Okay, that would be all 3 properties then, is it?
No, it'd be
No,
2
just
properties.
Two?
Just 2.
The 2 that he's got $10 beside Judge.
Okay, all right.
The Millers live on the north side, and they had already had the 2 already.
Yes. Joe Burton had them, yeah.
Yes, sir. And then they bought the property from him, so.
Yeah, and Joe kept waiting on that to go to condemnation. It took forever, and then they bought it, and they haven't pushed for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I really don't know their situation.
yeah, that, and, once they said that's the way they wanted it, then we left it alone,
Yeah.
so. All right,
And here's the second one, Judge, that deals with Miss Miller, what Joe was just talking, that's the owner of the Joe Burton property. She wants the additional 2 lots coming up towards Joe's house from hers. So that would give her access to those and be able to keep an eye between all four properties. That way would be covered and basically for the same kind of money.
All right, very good.
There was a third party interested, and then I think Nancy or Willie talked to him, and then I talked to him as well, and I'd indicated five tracks, but there is 5 tracks, but one of them's not there, and so he was disappointed to have under 20 acres, so I guess he didn't submit, so.
Okay, I'd like a motion that said we accept the O'Brien and Miller bids for 25 years.
So moved, Judge.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay. Any other comments, anyone in the audience? Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Watts, second by Commissioner Harvey to accept the bids for the properties for a 25-year period. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
And I'll push that on. We gave Molly's office or John's office the template, I guess, for the lease agreement. Joe will get those out as soon as Amy or John has a review of that, and we'll get them to you and get signatures.
Okay, the templates, he's going to pay all, and she's going to pay it in 2 segments.
Yes.
So you like to have some modification to it.
Okay.
Okay. Item number 3 is discuss or take action to approve Hudson Blueprint quote in the amount of $2,945.36 for office furniture for the Criminal District Attorney's Office to be paid from Department 429 Supplies and Operation Major Category with specific lines determined by the county auditor. Mr. O'Brien, you're welcome to stay, but if you
Yes, sir.
got
I just want to tell all of y'all, thank you, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Beecham, did you have that?
No, it's,
Mr. Gillespie, thank you, sir.
First off, I want to introduce Amber Craig. She's my new first assistant.
Morning.
I'm so excited to have her on board. She started February the 3rd. She came from, most of her career was spent in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Las Vegas, although she started in the Dallas DA's office, so just a vast amount of experience.
Oh, cool.
One time we were trying to figure out what year it was, but in 2013 or 2014, she was the narcotics, the Nevada Narcotics Officers Association Prosecutor of the Year for the entire state of Nevada. So she's going to bring a lot of experience with the Drug Enforcement Division and everything else that we're doing. So I'm thrilled to have her on board, except she went to UT for undergrad.
Just almost hit a home run. Almost.
just short.
I have an 8M in my reception area, and she wanted it taken down, and I said, I've lived without a first assistant before, I can do it again. Anyway, but
Yeah. You'll be okay.
this item is just for like an L-shaped thing. We talked to Donna about that. And we redid the civil suite last year with, some funds, and so that's what we'd like approval on. My suggestion, kind of looking over the budget, that first assistant spot, Tony left January 1, and Amber started February 3rd, so we have a month of salary there, then we've been down 4 other positions, including Meredith. So I would actually ask, it wound up on the budget coming from the agenda coming from the operations thing, but I'd like permission to move it from unused salary, just because I think the first assistant salary that was left alone would pay for that. I always try to look out for things like that. I know that's unusual. Judge Goss and I talked about it, but we've just been so far down that would help offset that.
Yeah. So moved, Judge.
Second.
With that modification to come from transfer from unused salary.
Please.
Thank you. Amber, what was your last name again? Craig. Okay, I did not hear that right. And I was thinking I had met you, and I didn't add that together as McCray. Okay, thank you.
Well, welcome to Wichita County.
Yeah.
I hope you love it.
I like it so far, it's great.
Working for John's going to be good stuff.
John, update civilly.
Civilly, I have hired somebody. I'm not at liberty to make it public yet. That person has to wind down a practice, but we're
You're excited?
I'm excited.
Okay.
I got somebody with lots of experience advising local governmental
Oh, wow,
entities, so-
wow.
Would it be like DeLynn?
Come on, Lynn's kind of in her own,
Yeah.
I wish it were DeLynn.
No,
I
I
mean,
do
I'm
too.
not, nothing against the person I hired.
No.
DeLynn's just amazing as well,
Yes,
but
she is.
DeLynn is DeLynn.
Well, the neat thing, Delynn wouldn't have to forget to bill us like she usually does. Yeah. Okay, all right. We have a motion by Commissioner Watts, second by Commissioner Beecham to approve the item as requested with a changing of funding coming from transfer from unused salary. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. All right. Item number 4, discuss and consider take action to approve Gall's quote in the amount of $3,115.60 for new equipment for investigators in the district attorney's office and the DED investigators to be paid from Department 428 by transfer from Department 429 supplies and operations major categories. Mr. Gillespie.
Sure, and I feel like it's introduction morning. Y'all, I'm sure know Ty Davis. He's my new chief investigator. He started January 1st. And really excited to get Ty. He was one of the most respected officers, you know, in our area. He was dual deputized with the FBI, so he worked on a lot of FBI investigations. And
For about 12 years, wasn't it, Ty?
Yes, sir. And he also has a tremendous amount of narcotics. He's one of the top narcs in the area, so to have him as chief with everything he brings on board and helping with the DD. But I wanted to bring that up. Ty, will you walk me through what this budget item is for?
Yes, sir. There was a couple reasons that I wanted to equip our guys to look more like the SWAT guys making entry, and the first one of that would be safety. A lot of times the county that's making entry, our guys looking like narcs, you might imagine, plain clothes, carrying a gun, and say if SWAT gets the house and we get a guy run out the back with a gun in his hand, and our guys go around to pursue that, our guys end up looking like the bad guy. I don't want that when we have these things. We don't need a blue-on-blue incident. I like to avoid that. So again, safety trumps everything. I think that's a good thing for our guys. Looking like all the others on the scene, it also gives operational security to them, OPSEC, where they can blend in and not tip their hat to other guys they may in the future encounter in some undercover operation or such. And then lastly, I just think it's a little more professional looking, and we can dress those guys up appropriately.
Never thought about that being an issue, but
Yeah.
man, you're right. That would be a horrible accident.
Well, Blue Bloods last Friday night, exact thing
10 years on SWAT.
on Blue Bloods.
About the same amount of time as an ARC. I've been on both sides of it, and there's always a fear of mine of having a blue-on-blue incident. So, you know, these guys are capable and they train, but when you hear a man running out the back door and possibly has a gun, your mind just goes to a different place. The last thing you want to do is encounter as a UC. It's a scary
Absolutely.
place to be. But I think if we dress them to look as much like SWAT when they're in those situations, I think everything's for the best.
And just one other thing, I also would request that be paid for the same way, just because we've been down. So there's so much salary that's accumulated that would just help us with that.
So moved, Judge.
Second.
You know, I never understood the term of being shot by friendly fire. I haven't met a friendly bullet yet. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Watts, second by Commissioner Beecham to approve the item as stated. Any other comments or questions?
And was that what, just so the record's clear with?
With the change?
With
Yes, yeah. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you all.
Thank you all so much.
All right, item 5 is discuss and consider take action to approve funding formerly in the Department 409 for a software support specialist 1, position 412.07 for Department 412 with a yearly salary of up to $35,000. Mr. Crutchfield.
Yes, sir, Judge. We've got the opportunity, employee leaving Lori's office currently. And this employee helped us through go live with a lot of issues and is familiar with Tyler, how it operates. Where we really need help right now is doing party merges, and this individual is pretty much up to speed on being able to do that. And that would be, for the time being, that'd be their primary
this will free up some, what we're using valuable time on and doing relatively,
I've basically got, 3 employees, almost full-time park immersion right now, Ashley, Vanessa, and Sam. So it free up a lot of their time to move on to other issues. Yes.
I think it's a great idea, and maybe find somebody else and help us with this too, because it's gonna be a long, drawn-out process to get it all correct.
Well, now, in the conference call, Philip did mention they may have developed a master solution. There will still be files that will not fit that procedural process they have, but that's, they use the term the expedited, they've expedited it. Well, their definition of expedited and mine are not the same. I talk about something in the same light year when it's expedited. Okay, we're not there. At any rate, this will help resolve some of the problems. And one of the key areas that this position will work on is readying the grand jury charge list so that everything matches up there, that we're not having a difficulty there. We've got some ideas as that smooths out to more deeply ingrain that person and do that. And we've talked about some others. So you all will be getting weekly reports on and giving those to the court on how that position, how many cases they're processing and cleared, and what we're doing, so that we get an idea of the worth of that. But I thought y'all came up with a great idea, and there were some personnel issues that were rumor. We worked those out. I'm fine with that. For those people in the courthouse that love to live by rumor, it's not true. Yeah, so.
Well, I'd make a motion, Judge, we move forward.
Thank you.
Second.
Is this gonna be funded from 409?
Yes, and let me make, Willie looked at that. Sheriff, we're not shorting you, but we are going to take the funding out of those 10 positions that are in 409. We'll use part of that for this position. If you manage to get enough jailers to fill those 10 positions, we'll take care of it.
We're getting close. We're getting close.
Okay.
We're getting close. But we've been close before, but.
What do you want to bet on that?
I believe in you. You can do it.
All right. Thanks, Curtis. All right. Any other comment? Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Item number 6 is discuss, consider, take action to approve a formal budget amendment to positions 561.133 through 561.136 for additional jailer 5 positions. Sheriff Duke.
This is the Chief Brothers project, is basically we're getting, I think, 3 or 4 more people up to that level 5. That's, the max. So they've been here for quite a while, and we don't want to lose them. So we'd like to get their level 5 pay, just like we do the other people, make it fair. That's what I need to do.
So you said you had 3 or 4 more,
Yeah.
but you're just asking for 1?
No, I think, I'm looking at the numbers, position 156.133 through 36 is 3, so I'm pretty sure it's probably just 3 that, Chief Brothers is trying to get up to the jailer 5 position.
That's 4
I'm
positions.
sorry, 4 position. I didn't do very well with Roman numerals, when I started English numerals. But that's what we're trying to do, is get that up where it's be appropriate, like the other employees that are here for level 4.
Okay, if we do that with those, okay, you've got the other positions 125 through 132. that you will remain in there, is that correct?
Yes, sir. And those individuals, we don't have any sign of them leaving, which is a good thing.
Yeah. So, and funding for that, what I would suggest is that also comes out of, transfers out of 409 in those, that 10 slots we've got. So that should leave 8 of those that we haven't touched any of the money out of.
That's, of course, priority, that's for everybody.
Yeah.
So moved, Judge.
Second.
Okay, which ones are you talking about when you say
Or
that?
if you're gonna move
No.
4 positions
Moving forward.
from 4 to 5, and you wanna pay for 409,
What you'll need to use, money out of one would take it completely and part of another one to cover those. So that leaves 8 of those 10 positions left intact.
so you're not getting rid of the 4 positions, you're still gonna have the money in there for that.
Well, those 4, but you've got to raise it $3,300 to get them up to jailer 5s. And you're going to move
Then
those.
somebody else is gonna move into the jailer 4 positions. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right.
Eventually with their tenure.
So you cannot use more than.
Okay, then you realize we're going to get into your other, well, now, I think you can cover that all without, just out of that second position, that 9th or 10th positions will cover that. Yeah,
That's plenty of
yeah,
salary to cover.
yeah.
Depending on if you fill those 4 positions pretty quickly, you'd show a deficit there.
Let's
It's
take
okay,
that.
you got enough.
Yeah, there's plenty of money in those 2 positions. For mine. It'd just be interesting when we get everybody filled, that we want to fill those others.
Well, okay, yeah, but you're not, right now, we're gonna leave 8 positions, jailer 4, and you're adding 4 positions to jailer 5, and we're funding the additional out of one of the positions in 409.
Right.
Okay,
That's currently budgeted money.
okay. Do we have a motion to support that?
So moved.
Harvey and Watts, okay. Any other comments? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Yes, sir, thank you. Hey, something, Sheriff, I happen to be running through, weeding out emails. I always take a holiday and try to do email. There's one I sent you one. I need your forfeiture budgets for last year and this year, and I think the year before. They're supposed to be filed with the court.
We did it last year or year before. We probably just didn't do it last year.
Okay. But if you could, I'd appreciate those. All right, we're down to item number 7, discuss, consider, take action to authorize Precinct 4 Commissioner to sign equipment rental agreement with Klassner Equipment Company for rental of machines and equipment following legal review for rental of machinery and equipment for road and drainage work. Did Ms. LaRue get that done before she left, or is that still?
I think it's pending, Judge. I don't think they're finished. I haven't asked Amy about it, but
I don't think she's.
really overwhelmed, I know.
Yeah, I don't think she's doing that. Okay. But I'd sure like to see that before, because what you had thought the other day when we talked to them and what we got are different.
Yeah, and I guess Willie, he never gave you a different piece of paper. But you think the invoice we got a corrected invoice from him?
We did. We got a credit invoice for the first.
Well, do you think there's one agreement with just the invoicing term difference in it? Or is that what it is?
Well, it's the usual vendor invoice that protects them, doesn't do anything for you.
No, I mean, the agreement is the agreement. The way they invoice it, whether down days or you're paying straight time, that's the option they have on billing.
No,
The billing was a flat rate or monthly, a flat rate plus $100 an hour when it was used, for use. And that's billed at the end of the monthly period.
have you gotten the training set up? Because that thing's just sitting.
No, Judge, I'm debating if it's gonna rain tomorrow. I'm trying to move to Friday again, but we cannot train with it wet. It can't happen.
I understand that. And what about the guy that moved it? Well, you haven't had that, it's been 3 days, but it was all off days, so never mind.
Yeah, no, we haven't done, we're just waiting. We scheduled it for a week ago, before I went to San Antonio that Thursday, Friday, and then we canceled because it's too wet. He wants to grind when he comes, and
Yeah.
so he said, Jeff, this is a pigsty, is what you'll make.
Right.
And so, anyway, I'm wanting to, do y'all think it'll rain tomorrow, or what's the forecast?
Chances aren't as good as they've been the last 2 weeks.
Good. Well, I'm wanting to, Judge, as quick as I can, because we can split our team up and go do it, and so I'm ready to train possibly Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, but he gave us 2 more weeks under that same 13,000 something. So, but March 3rd starts another almost $14,000 minimum charge.
Okay, so there's a limit on your hours though, is that correct?
Yes.
No, it's an additional $100 for every hour you use, not a limit.
No, read the contract.
Up to 8
I just
hours
listened
a
to
day.
him.
8 hours a
I'm
day.
telling you, it's in the contract.
If you run it more than, in other words, if you get backed up and you've only got a week left, you go run it around the clock, you're gonna have an additional charge on top of your $100 an hour.
Yeah, you're
Did
gonna
I
pay,
read it right?
yes,
So do you have 40 hours a week
yes.
in the flat rate?
Right.
Yes, and
So that's
No.
not what I understood from Willie, that we had a flat rate and $100 an hour.
It is,
We do.
yes. You have a flat rate, and every hour you use it's $100 an hour more, up to 40 hours, and then you pay a
Over
penalty.
40, you gotta pay another initial rent, I would assume. I don't know that it's
Okay,
specified.
you just confused me.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a flat rate. Does that include 40 hours of use?
No,
Well, then what I said is correct. You got a flat rate, and every hour you use it,
you pay $100. That's, yes,
That's
that's
what I said.
until you go over 40 hours.
And then it
Over
goes
40
to a
hours.
different rate.
Then you got an additional charge.
So what's the flat rate for?
That's
If
just,
you're paying $100 an hour for an unmanned machine, that's pretty good pay.
well, because he has a machine and we don't. And we didn't take any other bids on it because it was just one precinct using it under that, and it met the
we
requirement.
may have to take a bid, if we start getting, unless if the weather cooperates and we can get through grinding everything. If y'all, do y'all kind of know if you'd have any use for it?
Yeah. I've
Well,
got-
yeah, we gotta get ready first. You gotta pull your ditches up, and get all that stuff cleaned up before you don't wanna put the cart before the horse.
Well, I'm doing it the opposite. I'm grinding and I'm blading at the same time behind it, and I'm pulling them ditches while I'm blading that road, because I'm not coming back and shooting them.
You don't wanna put that dirt in your base.
No, I'm not gonna put the dirt in my base. But my problem is I've got a windrow this big, because we don't have a grader operator and had never had a grader operator. So I have a windrow this big that I need to get back out and bar ditch, scoop them bar ditches out, throw them up either way, bee them up while we're grinding that road. Then he'll come in at the edge of that road and throw that material back up that I'm grinding, crown it, smooth it back out again, and just have some good fall going back to that ditch. Because right now, most of my roads trap water on the road, because I have
know,
a
I've been on your
border
road.
built down each side of the road. And that comes from inexperienced operator.
So I guess, we're just voting to let Commissioner Watts sign the contract once it's finished.
Once he gets through legal, and, yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, anyone in the audience? Okay, motion by Commissioner Harvey, second by Commissioner Moller. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
But y'all kind of be thinking about, like, so we can schedule out, because right now, the minute it was dry, I would pull my guys that are,
Well, I'd like to see your actual cost per mile, for that equipment, that machine, because we can get it done for $4,000 a mile.
no, you can't get it done for
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Matter-
James Freeman did it for me for that, but he may be different now.
No,
No.
I'm saying if I was James Freeman, I'd price it 500 a mile or 50,000 a mile, don't matter. He ain't showing up to do it to begin with. He
Okay.
won't even call me back. And I'm not called once, I've called 5 times. I've called him and I've called his daddy. Won't call me back. He's
Wow.
covered up with work. So
Okay,
that's
Okay.
the problem.
okay.
Let's move on. Item number 8, discuss, consider, or take action to file Klossner Equipment invoice number E0056490 in the amount of $13,974.62 with the county auditor for payment processing for rental of Road T SX6E milling machine from January 20th to February 19th, plus $100 per hour for a used build during this period, plus $2,375 for freight to Electra. Texas for invoice total of $16,375 to be paid from 224.240.4606 rental, other machinery and equipment. This replaces prior invoice and credit memo of CM 001383 in the amount of $26,375. Only thing I'd ask is Commissioner get a new invoice from them that carries that through. I believe it's March 3rd for that amount.
Okay.
And that,
March 3rd is you thinking the day?
I'm thinking it's the date. And let's do this. We'll modify that to our up there where it says invoice E00, our latest adjusted invoice.
Is that, now this time frame, Judge, is from January the 20th through February the 19th, so you're thinking that
They
he
gave
went
us
all the way, he went an extra
2
couple
weeks. 2 weeks. That's what they said.
That's where you get to March the.
I think that's what Connie said on the phone was March 3rd. What she seems to be the lady that keeps the records. I got tickled. She said to him something or other, and he said, "Well, is it all right if we do that?" And I thought, well, your last name's Klossner, buddy. Unless she's Mrs. Klossner, what are you doing?
Neil, would you make sure what Commissioner Harvey's talking about, that we make sure we've allocated correctly and raking all that stuff, okay?
All right. Okay. Let's take action on that with the modification of our latest adjusted invoice.
So moved, Judge.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Okay. Any other comments? Ma'am?
Well, I was glad to see that it's extended to March, because I did the math on this, and we were paying like $1,092 per minute for that machine.
Not per minute.
No, Patty.
No, Patty,
Crazy
you
math.
recalculate that.
You take the $13,974.62 plus the freight of $2,375 equals $16,349.62, minus, you take the $16,375 minus $16,342.62 equals $25.38. So then you take the $25.38 by the $100, that $25 is a little over 15 minutes. Then you take the 15 minutes divided by how much we're paying it.
Now, Patty, just so, let's break it down simple. How much money are we talking about in total? How many days in a month? How much money total? Add it all up in your mind, just round it off and add it up.
How much, it was $16,375.
So double that, 32,000. How many days in a month?
30, 31.
So
29.
let's round it off, 30,000 on the bill, 30 days in a month. How much is that a day?
But it's sitting there doing nothing. That's why I was glad to see it extended.
How much is that a day, Patty?
1,000.
1,000 a day, not a minute.
But you only got 20 working days roughly a month, so it's
Sure.
about 1,500.
Sure, I'm just simplifying the
Yeah.
math, because $1,000 a minute is like,
Crazy.
But and that's
Crazy.
done on engine hours, Patty, and not clock hours. So that's,
Well, I mean,
yeah, but,
written here and I was like.
yeah. I can't quite go with your figure.
Have a machine just sitting there,
Well,
renting that we don't own, so.
but if you read the lease, they have built some things in there for people that, it was like when we first went to scanning down the sheriff's office, and we had those scanners, and we wore them out in 3 months. And LGS was going, how did you do that? Well, I don't know. You put them in there. You said they were high-speed, heavy-duty. Well, they didn't allow that we were running them 24 hours a day.
no, and Patty, that machine would have a hard time backing into this room and fitting. And I always like to ask people, what do you charge for your milling machine?
If it would make that kind of money, I'd own several of them.
I would too.
Yeah, but I was
Promise
just
you.
wondering, since
All right.
Go.
we rented the machine, we've got it sitting there, and regardless, we rented it, so we gotta pay for it.
They give us weather days in the contract.
No, they don't. No, they don't. Read the contract, guys. I'm just, okay, I'm telling you, read the contract. Willie, they never agreed to weather days. No. No. That would be nice, but they didn't. All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Watts, a second by Commissioner Waller to approve the item with the deal of, or the latest adjusted invoice, which would add those other 2 weeks. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item 9, discuss, consider, take action to amend the 2020 budget position listing for Precinct 4, establish revised position titles and maximum salaries for Precinct 4, and to authorize phone allowance of $45 per month for a coordinator position. Commissioner Watts.
Okay, so this is just kind of a breakdown of how we've reconfigured. The one position is actually the move back from the Precinct 5 position. We've stuck Jack Lucor into Precinct 1 and took him that way, and y'all are still welcome to use him however y'all need to as well, fitting him in, but I put him on there so Precinct 5 is not having to underwrite that salary. Position 2, Dale Goins, operator. Position 3, operator Joe Gilmore, and those are just truck drivers, typically equipment operators to a limited extent. It's been great to have them exposed to John and Jack. They just have learned a lot in a short period of time, just getting from Dale Goen was a front-end operator. He had no problem with that, but, you know, using sticks on the backhoe, I couldn't do it and without a lot of practice, and those guys are just kind of getting their feet wet. But they're older men, and they're well, they take care of their equipment well. They know to check their fluids and everything, and I appreciate them for that. Then position 4, that's Neo here. Neo's done a great amount of work keeping up with all of our stuff into, as well as what was happening to me was my most expensive man was running all the errands all over Wichita Falls. And Neo has replaced that, taking that, so he's running to get what the guys would need for a job site, as well as doing all the software work in Rakin, making sure, and he's going to speak to you at the end of the meeting concerning, just show you the update he's got as the projects have built into this software and some of the capabilities that it's doing to indicate all of the workflow every single day and coordinate the equipment usage with the job as well. So it'll just help us keep a better organization going forward. Then position 5 is Debbie Hankins, and that she just doing a tremendous amount of work she's also involved in Rankin in a lot of instances and helping with the the invoices that flow from the auditor's office to here, she makes sure they get allocated correctly into the software, so Neo doesn't have to do all of that. And then we're redoing, of course, all the files in our office as well to try to thin ourselves out. And Judge, on that note, I did speak to Bill. He was unaware of any PIN. He said, Bill told me he never had a key to that office. He was aware of the cigar box that I'm aware of, but he didn't know anything about a PIN. So I think what Bob Yow's proposed to do is the best, and it's just going to take them about 2 weeks. But Neo, they're copying and recreating the Medco code for us. And Judge, that'll be, I guess, still at Wichita because they're the only providers, just so we know that. But Joyce needs to know it as well, and Nancy, that PIN that's going to exist, we should keep it somewhere. We inherited it from Al
There's
Williams,
a
but
box in, I think a lock box in your office, there's one in that closet of mine that would keep those coded keys, not coded, but the highly restricted keys.
okay.
So,
And then position 6, Luis Gonzalez. Now, Luis typically can go weeks on end without having any hours. He's just strictly used in a maintenance position as far as cleaning or washing a vehicle off for us, or maybe doing shop cleanup or yard cleanup if we have some odds and ends to do, but very limited hours there. We've left position 7 open purposely. We're not going to fill that at this time. And then we do pull, with Curtis's help, from that hourly temporary help towards the Faith Enterprise group that we use to assist us. And one of the things that Faith Enterprise, of course, they've helped us get situated here, and their situation is quickly wrapping up now at the creek. But one of the things that I pulled them off the creek to do, we were first at China Creek in Pumpkin Center. That was our first drain project. And secondly, we jumped to South Coleman Road because the trees have encroached all of the easement, every bit of the easement on South Coleman, and they're taking those down so the dozer can root plow them before we come in there and reshape that whole thing. The road had centered itself completely off of one side because of tree growth, and so we even had some landowners willing to roll up the fence to let us get back and reclaim that easement correctly. So it's going to make it better. And right now, it's actually it's just the basin of a river is all that road is. But that's how I use Faith Enterprise, and they work out of that position 8 to some extent.
okay. The only one I have concern. Sorry, go ahead.
Let me interject on that phone. I'm using Neo's phone right now. We had Margaret found, and we couldn't figure it out. There were 2 phones in Precinct 4 that we just found out about recently, Curtis. And Margaret said, Jeff, this phone's coding to you, and it showed in August like 5 minutes of use. Somebody was on it. I don't know if that assistant foreman of Bill's had a phone. I don't know. But somebody carried it off when they went. She thinks it's a flip phone, but I had her disconnect that number once she found it and do away with it. But we have we keep a phone that we float it, so whoever got weekend duty to answer the dispatch, then they carry the floating phone. But I wanted to give Neo the, because he burns his phone a bunch.
I believe that phone originally belonged to Precinct 1, and somehow it got moved over to Precinct 1.
Now, Mark, so if you've got a phone line down, you know it's us. Is it
My on-call phone.
It was a 26 something number? What's that number, Mark?
I'll have to look.
But if it's not working, then know that it's us messing with it, because we couldn't figure out what the deal was. I told Margaret I'd never been exposed ever to another number.
Well, there was one time when Bill Davis had one and the assistant foreman had one.
I bet that was
Had
it,
Mark.
Curtis.
And then I think Precinct 1 had a foreman and an assistant foreman phone.
Yeah, we have a standby phone.
Yeah.
2792.
That sounds right, Mark. That sounds like what we could have killed.
This
Curtis,
number
would
is
you
been
write that
disconnected.
down and ask Margaret? 2792.
One ringy-dingy. Two ringy-dingies. Who remembers that?
Lily Tomlin.
Lily
I
Tomlin.
do.
It's ringing, but it's not answering, so. I'll check after court.
Okay, with your layout, the only one I had was the salary level for the office manager. That, I was trying to find comparable positions and things, and I didn't find anything that we had gone to that level for. And I was thinking that ought to come back to the 32,000 area.
That's currently at 1442. Is that correct?
No, that, isn't the 1442 the $30,000 position?
Yeah, that's what she is currently.
So you're saying that, what would that hourly be, Judge?
1442, according to the.
32,000? No.
30,000 is 1442, isn't it?
Yes.
But what's 32,000, what the judge is saying, Mark?
It's 1538.
Okay, well, yeah, that's, I don't have any problem with that. We'll,
So, is she gonna be making more than the commissioner secretary?
No. Oh, more than the commissioner secretary, yes, but I've got a suggestion on that one too. But she's not, is she, I think you have her doing more than what you call
way
secretarial.
more. Oh, absolutely.
But in looking at that, just while you've brought that up, what I would suggest we do is move that position underneath, at 20% it would be funded out of precinct 5 and 80% out of the county judge's office budget. And do that way, then Nancy would be her supervisor, and that person would still catch the calls, primary answering person for the 8100. And then we might even use that person to answer and just turn in the work orders for the IT help desk and do that. But it would maintain that position up there. The 20% would be that person would then handle booking, your all's trips, filing your travel when it comes back in, doing those things that come up with you all. But quite honestly, you all don't use that position a great deal. And
Because Jeff hogs it all the time.
well, he's got I'm not real, I almost goofed on that. He has got a person that will handle that, all of that for him, that'll be on his payroll. So, and he's doing that and within his budget, and actually he has some money left over. I think what you have to watch, you've made good use of the Faith Enterprises people, but you've got to look at what we might be paying them for the total year and all, because
Right,
once again, we run up against that $50,000 deal that.
We don't, Judge, we really, after South Coleman, which South Coleman's not a half a mile long, once South Coleman wraps up, I don't have anything scheduled at this time and we've laid out our summer into this rake and nap. So we don't have anything, need pending out there. So I'm hoping that y'all can kind of find some things for them to do as well, commissioners, and keep them shored up, because we're gonna be out of project
but keep in mind, that's Wichita County paying on 50,000, not
Right.
each precinct.
Yes, I understand that, but what I'm saying is that my use is going to be, we're wrapping up because I don't have use for them when we get to Funkin Center and grinding or doing in that short period of time. We'll be out there doing that. My tree deal last year, we stayed on top of it real hard and cleaned up a lot of brush, and I just don't have anything I'm pending, so keep it in mind if y'all.
We have plenty of tree trimming to do. But we just gotta make sure we don't go over 50,000. Well, Judge, is there another entity out there that we can quote? Or county?
Let's put it out for bids.
Oh, yeah, there's all kinds of tree people, the guy that trims the trees around the courthouse, and, I mean, there's plenty of people.
Yeah, what's the
He's
group
what?
that bought Ashplun out?
Okay, that's why you still get the quotes, and you go for what's the best bid. Ma'am?
On this $45 per month for the phone allowance, I guess you see me leave the courtroom 2 or 3 times. I'm on call. I use my personal phone. I don't get any reimbursement for it.
I don't either, Judge.
I don't either.
Not a penny.
We're elected officials. It's
Yeah,
different
but
than
all of our
employees.
foremen are key people. We don't use their phones, we use county.
Sheriff's office,
Purchase phone.
person. Yeah.
Now,
Well, elected officials, I chose not to have a county.
no, but you can, but we'll pay for yours, Judge, so.
Well, I could get the phone itself paid for out of JP Technology. What I'm just saying is, $45, is this his personal phone or is this the county phone?
That's his personal phone, and we have several. We have several.
Why doesn't he use the county phone?
He could use a county
I
phone,
was gonna say,
but I couldn't get it for $45.
yeah, you can.
That's what we get.
Check that bid, yeah.
That's what I would do then.
But up to that 45 either way, but then if you pay that to him as a phone allowance, it's taxable, it goes through payroll, unless it's a difficult thing to keep it up and dry and show the calls and break it down so it's reimbursement and it's
I don't
not.
know that we're opposed to either way, I just don't want to be burning all his minutes and
Well,
plus
now,
his data. That's
he
what
probably
I don't
had, well,
want.
data,
That's
yes,
what we use.
but
We
minutes,
use a real amount of data because he's just
I'm
tech savvy.
unlimited. When I go over, I have to pay $15 a month. Or unlimited.
But I mean, I thought that smartphone usage for Neo would be $100 a month. That's what Bill Davis' phone cost me when I upgraded him to smartphone. It was like $75 or $80 a month, I thought.
no,
We can get it for 45,
I think it's-
unlimited data?
yeah.
Oh,
Well, it's grouped, we have a humongous data pool, and we've
well,
never,
that may be something we can look at.
yeah.
And, yeah, that might be, because it's not a benefit to him to use his own phone at all, so.
Well, no, and then because he's using his phone, it makes it subject, those things that are county business on there, then subject to open records request.
Yeah.
Some counties now have gone to a deal where everybody that has need for county business on their phone.
Well, I'll get him to investigate that. And Judge, do you want me to look at upgrading yours or putting yours on the agenda to
No,
pay for
I
it?
can handle that because I can go through JP Technology when I'm ready to get it.
Yeah. Well, you still got to have court approval on it.
Yes.
Ms. Flores?
Two things. Operator one, is it $19 an hour or is it $47,960 a year?
Yes.
63,000, but
If you
47.
multiply 19 times 2,080, what does that come up to?
I didn't bring my calculator. I just know $19 an hour. You've got another person making $46,760 that's getting paid $23.06 an hour.
47.
Making what, Pat?
Well,
Oh, yeah, that is wrong, Jeff. I saw that earlier. At $19 an hour, it's only $39,520. Thank you, Patty.
32,653.
Willie, what's the scoop on that? Are we paying up to that, not to exceed 19 an hour? Okay. So he just left those funds in there, Judge. That's
Yeah.
what he did.
Yeah. Yeah,
We
that-
can come after those funds if we want to. Do what?
That was the foreman's salary.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what that is,
So-
Patty, we're not paying that level. We're just paying $19 an hour. Foreman level was like $23 an hour.
Yeah, I just noticed that
Mistake in the budget.
math didn't work, so I didn't know which column was wrong. And the only other question I have
357.
is,
That was what,
it shows 7 people in precinct 224, and now it's showing 8, so I didn't know if I missed another meeting where the budget was amended to add an extra position.
No, number 8 is the temp help. It's listed hourly up to $12.50 an hour, but on our budgets, it shows temporary help. So each year, we use about that kind of money, hiring people to do summer work and stuff.
Well, everybody has 7.
He's splitting one position in half. Yeah, it's 2 part-time positions at 24 hours a week.
Okay.
The only thing I
We
would-
don't fill 7. We're not,
I was just gonna say, with your office manager's job, if you'll keep in mind when I come in for budget, my clerk does 2 jobs. You're upping her salary to 33, where mine only is 30,000.
when you come in, bring in the collections report with that, please.
If we get it corrected, obviously, we'd be glad
Okay.
to do that.
You know, I would think if she ought to have some, if nothing else, this old stuff, a Big Chief tablet and a pencil, you write down what, you know, maybe keep track of it. If I'm wanting the increase, I'd have a good justification for it. I'm just saying, figure that out.
Paperless, Judge, remember,
Huh?
you want paperless, can't you?
Yeah, right, yeah. We'll never be paperless. There's one room we'll always have paper in this courthouse.
Willie's gonna be,
Yeah.
feel sorry for Willie.
And the only other question I had was, he changed names of positions. He gave some people more money, took away money from other people, and that's what I'm thinking is gonna open the door for every other office to come in here and say, I wanna change this position to something else, take this position away, and it's gonna create what you always try to do, is make each position equal to.
yeah,
Well-
when you're, Patty, when you're referring to he, you mean Commissioner Watts. So, but,
Yep.
but if you would have been privy to all the budget, the long hours of budget meetings where the commissioners set those rates for those operators that we hadn't, you'd understand why those rates hourly are what they are, but you missed a lot of those meetings, I guess. But nevertheless, that's what the position is. But do you think that anybody should be hindered from coming in here? Please bring them on immediately and let them make any requests they'd want to of this commissioner's court, or whatever position changes they want to make and change.
That's what I'm saying, it's opening that door. for
Absolutely. Please come. Please feel free at any time to come.
Well,
We usually get the thing is, do this at budget time, do this at budget time. And
But-
this is 2 months into the
Okay.
budget, and
Commissioner Watts made a major change in the paradigm of the operation of that precinct. Now, I don't see, that, but Mr. Smyson, one who first brought this and did a good job of realigning his department and redistributing salary. How many years ago? 6, 8?
I'm the second year in office.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. So it's been done, been accepted by the
But
court.
he did it at budget time, right? Did you do
I
it
will,
at
I
budget
will
time?
say that, Judge. I mean,
It's preferable,
hey, I will agree, I don't agree with everything Patty said, but I will say this, when I came to county government, I wished I did have a coffee mug and a t-shirt for every time somebody said, Tommy, wait till budget. But if we've got an open door, hey, you wanna come in here in March and reinvent the wheel? I'm fine with it. And if Jeff said, hey, listen, everybody else is welcome to do it, I'm
Yeah.
fine with that.
we would prefer it not that way, but hey, if you change your operation as much as he did his, then, and got it done now, instead of going all the way through the year because of an arbitrary thing, and it's not in line with the way the place is being operated now, then yeah. So if you all come in with that kind of thing, I think court would certainly have to take consideration of it.
What Willie did was able to take some of that salary money and move it back over to road material or allocations of service monies and get it out of the operating line so we wouldn't struggle. Curtis keeps a whoop on me about that as we get to October.
And another point, I like the flexibility John had this morning on the fact that his first assistant left in January, and there was 2 months worth of money there, that y'all allowed him some flexibility in that. I mean,
Works
that's a good
good.
thing. You
Well-
don't see that all that often.
I don't get the credit, Willie gets the credit for this, because he's the one that thought through the whole process for me and helped me coordinate it also.
Okay, part of that's the honeymoon time. Part of that's the honeymoon time. Okay.
I'm having
And,
a hard time remembering my honeymoon, Judge.
well, you know, some brides are uglier than others, and they don't get the same consideration, Tom.
Some of these honeymoons are longer than others.
Right. $35 a month on a smartphone, Jeff. Here's,
Well, that's what we probably want to do.
yeah. All right, now that we wandered all over creation, okay, I have the changes down for your item as we brought up the $19 an hour person, but that salary allocation will stay there. But it would normally, at 40 hours a week, tap out at $39,520. And then we will lower position 5 to $32,000 annual.
And Willie, you'll make that adjustment? Okay.
All right. Okay, with those changes, and the cell phone item's in there, but that's, according to our latest contract, that should be $35.
But we want to, Judge, we want to re-bring the phone piece back to you and see, because I'm just asking Margaret for the price of those phones and
Okay, so you want to leave that out of this motion?
I'd like to leave it out and not start that allocation, because we may want to get a phone.
Okay, all right. Okay, so the item reads, discuss, consider, take action to amend 2020 budget positions for listings for Precinct 4 to establish revised positions and titles and maximum salaries for Precinct 4 as scheduled and changed below, and the only change was in position 5, office manager, to a gross annual salary of $32,000. Is there a motion, Commissioner?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any other comments?
Judge, I just have one question about the Faith Enterprises thing, because it keeps getting mentioned like it's being used just the same as the temp would be, like we got through my staff, or if we got them through Express or whatever. I have no idea how the whole Faith Enterprise thing works. Is that a whole separate contract
That's,
thing, or?
they
like a
provide us,
contractor.
go ahead, Commissioner. I'm
Well,
sorry.
they're like a contractor. They're
Yeah.
like John Jones, he comes to my mind the quickest. He's a contractor out of Buffalo Creek. And Faith Enterprises is like a contractor, we'd use a tree service out front, not so much as an individual employee position. Curtis sometimes allocates that money as the labor, sometimes he uses it as contractor, depending on what the job is. So if they're just charging us an hourly wage, he'll put them in that temp line, but if they're doing a specific job for a set amount of money, like taking all the trees off a road, then he would charge that way. So it flows both directions, but they're not like the programs that you brought us from. The two different guys that spoke to us, Bert and the other. Who was the other?
Which is fine. That was just my question, because a temp employee, normally, whichever company it comes from, would send us a person's background check, driving record, all that stuff. So like right now, when you say 4 people or 6 people from Faith Enterprises are looking at Precinct 1 or Precinct 4, I have no idea who these people are or background checks.
Okay,
No, we use them
none
as
of the above.
Yeah,
That was just my question.
okay.
On that, Amanda, what happened to those people that came and spoke to us? Bert spoke to us, about, and I know we talked about it, but there was a second set of people that have a home setting.
They're still working on it. Last
So we've not seen their people yet. Okay.
I don't know.
Wondered. I'm interested in that group because they're a good group. I hear good things about it.
Okay, we ready to vote? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. We're down to item number 10, is discuss and take action to approve the transfer of a present incumbents in positions 225.01 and 225.02, positions of road and bridge to be effective the next pay period. That's not necessary. If they move from one department to the other, we don't do any kind of thing from the court action. It's only when we're realigning positions. Unless I'm missing something. I mean,
Oh, no, this is not mine, Judge. I don't.
you did that in 224, but this is in precinct 5, and unless you want to move the clerical position, and I'd really like to wait until and give us a chance to put the numbers together and where that money's going to come from and do that. Otherwise, I don't think this needs any action.
Well, yeah, I don't know what this is, Judge.
Well,
Well, that's
Nancy, did you
Jack
get this
and
on?
Debbie, that's Jack and Debbie moving from 5 to 4. That's all it is. Number 10?
Oh, is that what, Willie,
yeah,
is that what it is?
but it's not necessary. That you can, people can work for one county clerk, go to the other, one JP, go to another. We don't do anything to do that. Okay, item number 11 is discuss, consider, take action to approve Baylor Brothers Painting Incorporated estimate dated February 11th, 2020 for painting the firing range building at a cost of $5,625 to be paid from Department 561 Supplies and Operations, major category, with specific lines determined by the county auditor, Commissioner Beecham.
Yeah, pretty simple, just to paint the firing range building, just like the new jail facility. It'll include the Dantex texturing, so it'll look like this.
Oh, excellent.
Oh,
Okay,
man,
this is gonna be on the outside of the
That's gonna be
10?
on the outside of the 10.
yeah, you scratch your back
That
on that.
way, it will match the rest of the facility, but it'll be paid for outside of the LEC budgets.
You can't worm that in there somehow? Can't just worm it in there?
Well, I could, but
70 million.
What is that, Mark?
that's
What are we
called
looking at?
Dantex. It's a texture, for exterior texture.
Oh, an exterior texture?
Yeah, that's.
You spray it on?
Yeah.
Yeah, we added that to the building after seeing the initial mock-ups. It would look much better with this.
And is that just got a pretty good life out in the sun?
Yeah, it's supposed to last the life of the building, so. I think it's a really good price to do that whole building.
Yeah, I do too.
So moved.
Second.
And this group, where are they from, Mark?
I really don't know.
Are they
They're
local?
I don't know, they're our paint contractor.
They're from Vila?
Oh,
Yeah,
They're
they're,
from Vila?
they're out at LEC
yeah,
working?
they're a
Yeah.
regular paint contractor,
Oh,
so
okay.
I just had them shoot me a number
Okay.
outside of the project.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
This can be funded from 561, but it's going to be paid from 566 firing range. We can transfer the money from 561.
Okay, transfer it.
We just need to reword the order.
I'll
Okay.
amend that motion.
Yeah, got that. Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item 12, discuss, consider, take action to approve redistricting contract with Allison Bass and McGee. That item, I want us to, we can listen this afternoon. Commissioner Harvey's not going to be here. Everybody else is going to be here this afternoon. We'll have listened to their presentation on it. We used them 10 years ago. We waited, Lake got in. They did it as a favor to us. There's some things we are meeting with them Thursday to talk over some cleanup that Lori wants to get done in it, and Bob Bass has indicated they'll be able to do that. And they are the only people I got a response from. The guys that did it 20 years ago, the two law professors at Baylor no longer do it. I talked to one other large law firm. They wanted a price per hour to do it.
Well, you can't beat this group. And
No, I have a lot of
And-
faith in this group.
is Bob the lead on this?
Yes.
group?
Yes,
So
sir.
would Jim ever be involved, or is he typically not his bailiwick here?
I can't really answer that, but in all of my dealings 10 years ago, it was all with Bob. It's some with Eric now, that's part of the duties he's taken on, and then there's two other attorneys they have in there, and then some other key office people are involved with it. But, yeah, no, I feel like we'll get the good product from them. It's capped at $40,000. It's, you know, for their fees, there could be some additional things, but we will, you know, agree to those as we go along.
So you want to wait until after?
Well, unless you all are comfortable with going ahead with it.
I'm comfortable voting it now. I know this law firm.
Yeah, I'd make that motion, Judge.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I would second it.
okay. Okay. Any comments, any questions, anyone in the audience on this? Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Watts, second by Commissioner Harvey to approve contract with Allison Bass and McGee for redistricting services. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item 13, receive an update on the Law Enforcement Center project. Commissioner Beecham.
Starting to rack up a lot of weather delays because it's raining on Tuesday and Wednesday. So we're up over 40 weather delays, which will require a change order to the contract.
Well, they are legitimate. There's no question about that.
No, they're definitely legitimate, but we're now looking at probably early December move-in.
The other thing we've said to them, Sheriff, and I think you were probably at one of those meetings that was said, I don't want to rush to a date. I want to have a good, clean opening, that you have a few things that you find out, not 5 pages of things that are not right. And so.
The punch list items probably, this thing probably will be done starting about 6 months before the end of the project. They're gonna probably start developing what they call punch list items. And they'll address those it's really ankle biting stuff. It's not the big stuff, it's the little stuff that doesn't get all this special attention, but takes up a lot of time.
Yeah.
They'll start that early and knock it out.
Like the doors
I would assume.
locking.
Well,
And we're on top of it each week. We get a pretty good report about what's going on, and we walk the project a couple of times a week and know what's going on out there at all times. So, we did have road and bridge crews out this morning building a temporary road for them. So because of all the rain, we were unable to get the concrete poured for the parking lot, which would allow us a staging area to bring in sales, et cetera. Sales are coming. We got rain in the forecast, so
Gravel.
we gravelled them a road.
Hey, no more rain.
And
The only bad rain is the one we didn't get.
so I received a text from Leon a little bit ago that they are finished building the temporary road, so.
You know, in the long run, it'll be better to move that stuff in on a temporary road and then pave anyway. You don't
Yeah.
have that wear and tear on your fresh concrete.
So,
It'll actually be beneficial.
and we'll charge that back to the project once we get a figure.
Precinct 1 can pay for it.
Oh, yeah. We'll write a check. But other than that, the project's moving. It's just moving slow because of the weather delays right now.
okay. All right. Anyone in the audience have anything to bring up?
Judge, the one thing I'd like to say is, that's one question Jeff could probably help me out. I know we had a meeting here probably, maybe off by a month, Jeff, maybe November, December, had all our financial people in here.
And we've
Where-
got a
where
new
we at
proposal.
on our deal?
We've got a new proposal on the table, Tommy. They're come, I've talked to the commissioners about it Friday as to kind of what it extended. I've got Murphy Davis listening, looking at that now, so we're coming back to the table. We're talking, overview of the project has grown to $10 million in that deal, which not all of that's in your building over there, but it dealt with the elevator too, so we sunk that together. But they're prepared. I talked to him last Wednesday or Thursday conference call, and they are prepared to come to us. They're through with their deal. We got a rate lower than what we had anticipated at under 2%. You can imagine 1.67 or 1.71.
That's
I'm meeting with HPA tomorrow. We're gonna drill down on the projects and get a good firm number.
Yeah,
So,
we told them not to exceed $10 million,
And so, you know, we were talking about just your money, and then we thought if we're going through, we've got to get bond counsel to close this note for us, so we might as well do what we need to do to put it all together and make it make sense, so, because we're going to have that cost, whether it's $1 million or $10 million with bond counsel, so that's what we've done. But that Carl Nicchio from Wells Fargo has been terrific to keep his people engaged and focused in on what they're doing. This Marcus guy that deals with this has put all the note together and got all the upper management to approve. It's just now the ball's in our court, and they're coming to explain that note to us, and we need Murphy to advise us. So.
The other thing, I mentioned this to Commissioner Beecham, but whether the savings would offset a temporary relocation of your offices across the street here, how does that idea hit you?
Judge, I mean, I don't, that's all our entire motor vehicle operations, all that equipment belongs to the state of Texas. And then if George and Ashley's here, they tell you, you'd have to come up, I'll tell you, I don't know where it ended up being cost effective. And
Well,
really, I don't know logistically, it would be a complete nightmare to some degree. All that equipment has to be moved by them, it has to be moved, reset up, took down by them, moved back. I mean, we're pretty much.
What are you talking about?
Vehicle registration.
Moving motor vehicle lead.
You talking about unplugging the computer from the Cat 5 cord, carrying it to the other side, or?
No. Carrying over this building over here.
And plugging it back in?
Well, but you've got to, you need to learn more about it.
I'm just asking. 'cause
There's a
I'm-
whole lot, you got to relocate all of the major connections, the fiber lines, everything else has to be brought over.
So they're not there existing?
Well,
Another-
there may be in there, we don't know that. But the question would be, is the savings great enough? But I'm going to tell you right now, living through construction going on and the cost then of everybody working at night is, to work around your office is, we at least ought to look at it.
I can get Austin IT to get me some numbers together, but I mean,
Well, they've obviously done this before.
Well, is that their expense or ours? And they have.
We're not, yeah, I mean, it's been done before. I don't know per se, Lee, they picked up a motor vehicle division and parked it somewhere else. I mean, I could see maybe to some degree, Judge, if we get off, like laying carpet in a house, you lay carpet on one side of the room, move the furniture, then lay it on the other side, but I don't know.
Or dust, it's not carpet, it's dust. Dust is gonna be your enemy. It's horrible.
Well, I think the first consideration's gotta be is timing the project away from your absolute supervision
Well,
time.
it's gonna take several months.
I know, but
It's not gonna be a overnight
There's a
project.
time in there you don't want that going on, I would assume.
So why don't we just roll back and just do carpet like we asked for originally?
It really needs more than that.
I know it does.
Yeah.
When we
It's
started out, he
time.
said, please, just give me some carpet. I'd be happy with carpet, and it's,
It's time.
I know it's
some
time.
growing pains.
I know it is.
Well, Tommy, on that note too, the guys are coming, you know, I lost the Santa Rosa fella that was with, and then so we've falled back. They're starting the deal. I caught one of them going on a trip with his family, but it's your countertop guy that's doing Kenny's window deal. And so that's happening right now, and I'm assuming he's back by now from the trip, but I'll get him and Kenny coordinated for that countertop that goes in the window, and then,
Pull that roll up window.
yes.
Indigent healthcare.
Yeah, so we're ready to do that.
That's great.
Okay.
But, you know, Tommy, any information you could get from those guys, because obviously they've experienced this before. Let's just ask them what.
They're gonna have to relocate the system anyway.
Yeah,
To the
what-
new locations in the.
They've probably got somebody that's got experience at that, I bet.
And on that note, Tommy, fantastic job. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. That's a 3-year endeavor, Jeff. That's 3 years to get that.
Well
We've been
done,
working on it since 17.
well done.
Well
How many
deserved.
other counties in the state have it?
Only 2 others. We're in the top 1%.
Wow.
That's great.
That's pretty cool.
Pat
And
everybody
you know,
on the back.
I'm elated, and that just goes right along. Lisa's department over there, I mean, we go to conference to get ours at TAAD conference at Appraisal District, and Lisa's up there teaching with Harris County. And, it's just like Tommy, 3 out of the whole 254 in the state of Texas are we recognized with our tax assessor collector. I mean, that's terrific.
And even bigger than that, Lane's even proud of you. That doesn't happen very often now.
He's pretty rough on his day.
That's over the top now, I'm telling you.
Yeah, he's pretty rough on his day.
I talked to Lane the other day, he's very proud of his daddy.
Very top.
Very proud of his daddy.
I appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Had a lot of people call us, Texas folks called.
Oh, yeah.
Just about everybody in county government. Matter of fact, sitting right here while this was going on, the regional manager from the Southwest office just sent us a real nice email. It's a lot of work. You got it done.
Good. All right, anyone else? Commissioner Beecham,
I have nothing.
Commissioner Harvey.
What do we have? Let me get my calendar
Okay.
up here because
We need to do those before.
Well, we have something coming up here.
Okay, I'm gonna go on tomorrow, we'll come back to you. Oh, you got it?
No, it's next week. It's Janice Sons, is what I was saying. It's
Yeah,
next week. It's not
next
this
week.
It's next week.
Okay.
That's all
I
have.
need y'all to decide whether you're going to
I
that.
did.
You did.
I
You
did.
paid
I've
your
signed
money.
it. Nope, I'm gonna write a check for
Okay.
$130.
All right. But you're not,
I'm
you're
not.
not, and you're not, and you're not, so,
Really?
yeah.
We had
I've got a
conflicts.
conflict.
Yeah. Oh, that made me think, did you know Judge Cordis, big lamb and goat guy out of Meridian County? He died over the weekend.
Really?
Yeah, but that was one of the guys that, I bet you
just knew
do.
who that,
Yeah, Cordes.
yeah.
All right. Mr.
Tommy,
Waller?
when's our veteran, our bridge? What's the date? I know y'all got that set.
June 20th.
June 20th, and that's a big, the cruise and get together, and who knows what it's gonna be. It's gonna grow.
Yeah, we met with Harry some Sunday afternoon.
Yeah,
at Cowboy
to,
Ranch.
support our veterans. June 20th here in Wichita, more information to come. It's gonna be huge.
Great.
I'm gonna do a Friday night deal like what you talked about. So,
That'd be great. Super.
thank you, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And you too, Willie. You're doing a good job. Willie.
All right. Commissioner Watts?
Quickly, and it won't take much of your time, just, Neo, if you could run through, just update on the raking and show them some, so anybody got any questions, they can field it and they can be thinking for their own selves about any of that kind of usage.
Commissioner Watts, would you excuse me as I need to get on the road to Amarillo?
Yes,
Thank you very much.
and you're gonna miss out with lunch, because we're going to lunch somewhere.
Well, I was going to Straight Street, but that's passed. All right.
Okay, so
Let's
real
go.
quick, Commissioner Willis already talked about a project that we have, Coleman Road, China Creek. But last time we talked about inventory, and we kind of had, I would say, an issue figuring out where all the inventory is at, in-yard inventory, in shop. So what we did, we have an Excel that's being updated and
Be careful.
revamped with all the VIN numbers, motor serial numbers, color of equipment, and so on, as well as precinct shop. We're making sure we have everything tracked in. So we're keeping it all separately in one Excel, and we're also keeping everything in RegConnect, so by any time, anybody can have an access to it by invitation as well. What we're also looking at is, obviously Buffalo Creek, there's huge progress been made. Those are updated photos. I mean, there are numerous piles of wood and different.
On that, did anybody get to see the Channel 6 deal yesterday morning? I took her and I thought we were walking out of the bottom down there. Did y'all see Channel 6 last night? 6 o'clock, she had a good story on Buffalo Creek. She came out and did a lot of filming, interviewed John, interviewed Faith Enterprise, interviewed me. But I took her way down that, we had to just practice, well, Whitey was swimming to get out of there, but I got her down there to get some good pictures, and she just did a great job. But she showed a lot of that cement we pulled out of that creek. And my neighbor, David White, told me that they had, across the last 5 years, had identified some of those blocks in there, and they had tumbled. If you can envision a cement block as large as Willie's table that he's at from top to bottom, that tall, at least that long, maybe in some instances 6-8 foot longer than this,
tumbling with the flow of water, it just blows my mind.
Okay, we have people coming at 1:30.
Yeah, that's,
Let's keep that in mind while we're wandering around here.
And just the last page is just a draft of a safety talk. We're gonna, Commissioner Watts wants us to implement those, so that's gonna
Right.
be a weekly deal.
Okay.
Thank you.
I checked it out in person yesterday.
good.
All right, anything else? Okay, it is 12:20 and we are recessed to return at 1:30.
Okay. Okay. All right, well, if you want to
I'm
keep
glad
paying
you
for it,
said that. I'm glad you
I'll
said
let
that.
you pay for my on-call phone if you want.